What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Terrier Owner YouTube channel. We are happy to have you back for another video. As always, we have Luna out, and today we are going to cover another topic that is a little more broad than Jack Russell Terriers. It applies essentially to all dog breeds, not just to Jack Russell, but like always, guys, before we dive into that, we would appreciate a thumbs up on the video. If you've been enjoying our content in the recent weeks, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to turn on notifications so you're notified for all of our future videos. And now let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. And today, guys, we are going to talk about how to break bad potty habits, or how to try and start reversing a dog that is struggling to go potty where they should be, which is outside. So a dog that's consistently making mistakes or going potties indoors. Maybe the dog's even gotten a little bit used to making those mistakes and going potty indoors, but we want to talk about what you can do to start effectively training the dog correctly, what you should do even right out of the gates with a new dog you just adopted, and just how to navigate the potty training process in general. So let's go ahead and dive into that. And I'm going to go with my first tip that I would recommend to anybody, whether your dog's already been having problems going potty inside, or if you have a brand new dog that you're starting with. And that tip is going to be consistency. It takes a lot of consistency with a dog to teach them anything, really. And when it comes to pottying, them understanding the times that they can go outside, them understanding when it happens kind of on a regular time basis, or if you're looking at it from the standpoint of understanding their internal clock and what times they go out, consistency is going to be the best way to effectively potty train your dog. Same thing could be said if you're already struggling with a dog that keeps making mistakes inside. Maybe you need to start being more consistent with letting your dog out right after meals, right before going to bed, or right away in the morning. Sometimes a few midday breaks are good as well, but making sure that you kind of stick to those same times every day will really help the dog begin to understand when they go out. That way they know if they're at a point where they're holding it for a little bit, that time is coming soon for them. So the consistency is really big. It's really key, and you have to remain consistent with your timing and, with what you're telling your dog when they're young, whether that's go outside and go potty, or whenever they finish, you reward them. Trust me, rewards are huge with dogs. Jack Russell's all dog breeds. If they can get something that they want, it's going to stick into their brain that they receive something good, and they're going to want to continue that. So especially in the beginning, or if you're trying to break a bad habit of your dog going potty outside, make sure that when they do it correctly, you give them a reward and you give them a simple way to repeat that process so they can get the reward again. Along the lines of consistency, the biggest thing you should understand is the more opportunities you provide them, the better. So if you're trying to break that bad habit, or they've been making a lot of mistakes inside, the only way to make sure that they can succeed is to give them as many opportunities as possible to succeed. So give them as many chances as you possibly can to go outside. Give it yourself as many chances as possible to reward them for doing it correctly. The more you set yourself up in this fashion for success, the better off you're gonna be, and the more chances they're gonna have to prove themselves that they can do it correctly. You just have to give them the right opportunities to go potty outside. So to put all of that simply, guys, when it comes to consistency, provide a ton of opportunity, provide rewards, and pick a routine and stick with it. So if that's the main mentality you're going to use for potty training or to break bad potty habits, now I want to talk about some of the things that you can specifically do to break some of the bad habits, the going inside. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed, especially with Luna whenever she was a puppy or even, a few months old, is if you can confine the area a little bit, you're gonna have a much better success rate. So whether it's a gated room or even if you're performing crate training, dogs hate to soil any area that they sleep in or that they consider, their safe space. So I'm not saying to keep them in the smallest box possible, but the smaller you make an area for them, the less likely they are to want to potty in that area, and the more they're going to try their very best to avoid it. So if you're in the very beginning stages, confine the area, get a puppy gate and make it a smaller room. At night, really focus on crate training and making sure they're in a crate that is comfortable, safe, and obviously not cruel, but just small enough to where they would never want to actually soil the crate. An example would be, you don't want to put a dog like Luna in a crate that's designed for large dogs that are 100 pounds plus. If there's too much space in it and they really have to go, they will. But if it's their sleeping crate, they have a dog bed in it, and it's really just meant for sleeping and a little bit of movement, the chances of a potty mistake get dramatically reduced. So that is the first tip I can give you that will really help you break some of those bad potty habits. Number 2, guys, is tough in this fast-paced world. It's tough to keep up with daily demands of anything. You know, everything moves fast and we're heavily distracted. But number 2 is, you know, really easy. It's just we forget to do it all the time. And that's just provide some supervision and keep an eye on them. You know, if it's a weekend and you're home with your dog and they're out roaming the house and they're having issues with pottying, pay attention to if they're going to a back door or if they're making any noises like whining, like they have to go. You know, if they're doing anything like they're kind of trying to be private and move into other rooms of the house they usually don't go into, most likely there's a chance that they are considering going inside because they need to go outside. If you see any of those cues, you need to take the opportunity and let them outside. You know, that's another opportunity to give them a reward when they do it correctly. But supervision, keeping a close eye on them, and just making sure that you let them outside as much as you possibly can is going to be one of the best methods you can implement. So if you implement all of these things that I've said so far, if you can find the space, if you utilize crate training, if you provide a ton of opportunities, if you reward them whenever they do it correctly, what other obstacles are you going to run into? And the truth is, you know, it's not necessarily obstacles that you're going to run into. It's just things that you need to be ready for, especially if you're trying to break bad habits when it comes to a dog going potty. The first thing you got to be ready for is like the mental state of mind that you're going to be in, that you'll feel like there's a lack of progress. Every time they make one mistake, even if they've had 3 or 4 good days in a row, you're going to feel like the progress just isn't there, that you can't trust them. You have to get over that, realize they're a dog, and just learn from the mistakes with them. Keep at it, keep providing the opportunities, because eventually they will get it. And you have to realize that they don't really want to do it inside either. They're, you know, naturally want to go do it outside as well. So just don't get discouraged by a lack of progress and keep at your training efforts. Number 2, guys, is there's always a chance of a mistake or a relapse later. You know, that can make you feel kind of defeated too. Let's say you went a month or even a few weeks or whatever the time duration is. You have to understand that you might make a mistake and, you know, let the time go too long in between going outside. Or they might just, you know, be sick and have some diarrhea or something they couldn't control. The point is, relapses will happen, so you cannot let yourself be discouraged by that either. You just have to let it go, clean it up, and get right back on your consistent routine. And the last one, guys, that I think is important to mention is that if your dog has done really good for a long time and you've successfully been able to break those bad potty habits, and they are for the most part going outside all the time, you need to realize that if they, out of character, are beginning to go inside, that it could very well be a medical issue too, or they could be reacting poorly to food, or they could be sick with something. So if it really feels out of character and you feel like this isn't your fault or the dog wouldn't naturally be doing this, don't be afraid to contact a medical professional such as a vet, just to make sure you don't need to bring your dog in for a visit and make sure that everything is okay with them. Of course, guys, this is a topic that we would love to hear everybody's advice on. You know, pottying in the house is one of the biggest things that, you know, get talked about with getting a dog. Like, do you want to deal with that? It sucks, you know, that kind of thing. So any tips any of you can provide to help the entire community out would be great. We can all learn from each other and implement those strategies to get the most trained dog possible. Again, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, now would be an awesome time to do that. The thumbs up on the video goes so far in helping us get seen by others that are dealing with these problems as well. Never forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified every week of our newest videos. And of course, never forget to check out terrierowner.com, the blog website associated with this YouTube channel that will help you with basically any topic you can think of. There's 200 plus articles on that website that you can read if that's your preferred method of learning. So be sure to check that out as well. Outside of that, guys, we appreciate you and take care.